somehow convince people you were trying to do this for a noble cause. Oh, Jed's too much of a problem to be left alive. Please. You and I both know that you just need something to fill that sinking hole in your heart. And maybe, just maybe, the sight of me dead is worth all the blood that got you here. I get it, because as much as you hate me, we're the same. You're even following my footsteps. Look at all the pets you've gotten on your journey. You just did a little differently than I did. Oh, look at me. Look how screwed up I am. If you don't want to end up like me, you'll do exactly as I say. Here, have a spell to calm your worry away. It's pretty brilliant, but it's a ruse, because I know you. And if I can compliment you for a moment, you are perhaps the finest murderer I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And at the end of the day, that's all you're gonna be.
I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna give you your reward. Show you how all of your hard work comes back to give you everything that you've ever deserved. In some ways you're more my father than the man that you met long ago. Before the monster you've created stands before you to reclaim what is left of his father's soul. No, I'm not here to thank you, nor am I here to do what's right. It isn't all that tragic, don't make this so dramatic. It's revenge, plain and simple. You gave me all the skills I'll use to kill you tonight. If you kill the root, then nothing will grow. Nothing will grow.
Hello boys and welcome back. This is definitely a special video, something almost a year in the making, and if it's something you end up liking, please let me know. This story is taken directly from a D&D campaign that I was in, and if you don't really know what D&D is, you've definitely seen something related to Dungeons & Dragons in the past. To give the basic rundown, Dungeons & Dragons is a tabletop game, not to be confused with a board game. Board games have a strict set of rules that only work if you follow them to a T, like Monopoly or Sorry. Tabletop games, on the other hand, allow the players to express their own imaginations, with the DM or Dungeon Master creating their own story with any form of inspiration that they like, as well as taking from the actual Dungeons & Dragons mythos. From monsters to cities to realms, all of this is up for grabs, all within D&D, but there is so much freedom when creating something within the world of Dungeons & Dragons. And not just with the DM, but the characters as well are able to choose from so many classes, subclasses, and species, able to craft their character exactly how they want and give them the personality that they imagine. The world of Infersia was created by one ConnorG, someone who has actually made a couple of appearances on this channel, saying things like,
"Editor, put Jackson Davis wide on the screen. Wario for Steam!" Dude, that was freaking Jack Manifold.
Connor is a recent film major graduate and created this world while he was still in college, and actually at one point had some of his film teachers provide their input on the characterization of his main villain. Infersia is currently a fantasy Wild West, ripe with history and things to discover, and is bisected by two main biomes, Icehoff and Sunhoff. Icehoff is a frozen tundra, bitter cold and always covered in a sleet of snow, while Sunhoff, a dry, acrid desert, with the sun always bleeding down on its people. And the city that definitely gets the most amount of attention is the city of Rakkus, the ancient capital of the Infersian Empire, with a bustling downtown to casinos and markets, to the scum and villainy of the streets. Where the characters find themselves in Infersia is a few hundred years after the collapse of the Infersian Empire, with its people spread throughout the frontier of Icehof and Sunhof. But this world isn't limited to the mortal plane. Places like the Feywild, or the Vool, and even Hell will all be explored in this story. But while the Infersian Empire may no longer have a grip on the power of this world, that power vacuum didn't remain that way, and in fact is currently being scourged by the...
So you want to learn about our little family? I mean, what is there to say? The Darby gang is the most notorious train robbing gang in Infersia, consisting of 8 members, 4 upper rank and 4 lower rank. First up is Barkley Loggins. He's next in line to be the Jack, the current diamond. Kid's a prodigy, but he spends most of his days drunk, and when he's got a job to go do, he does it well enough and he goes back to his normal activities. A lot of promise, but real lazy. You know the type. Next is Iris Kolka, the club. She's next in line to be the queen. Iris is the real silent type. The kind you'll sit in a room for 30 minutes with and you'll get 4 words out of her. Not the nice silent type, the silent type where you can tell she's studying your every move and could kill you at any moment. Real predator-prey type situation there. Next up is the spade, Otto. He's next in line to be king, God willing. Real performer type, that one. Bullfighter, matador, the works. Got his whole arena gig over in Rakkus. That's his day job. As for the night situation, he's working with the gang. Now, he's got the bounty and everything, but people don't really seem to care because of his whole performance gig. And then last of the lower ranks is Bonnie McIntosh, the heart. What is there to even say about Bonnie? She's crazy, reckless, a lot of the time stupid. She loves dynamite, but hey, she's a good kid. She's got a good heart. You know, I practically raised her, so I only hope for the best for her. And then the first of the upper ranks is the Jack, who's Al Janko. Current bounty 750 gold. Oh, Al Janko, he's a master of all forms of weaponry, tactics, the whole works. If you need a plan, and you need an on-site tactician, he's your man. Real nice guy though, shared a good number of drinks with him in my time. I mean, he practically raised me, so soft spot for the old man here. Next is the queen, Angie Mae Ellis, with a bounty of 820 gold pieces. You know, in all my years in the Darby gang, I've only seen her once or twice. She's the type to not really ever come out of her office or room or whatever it is. She's a genius is the thing. I mean, knows all types of magics, sciences, and the couple of times I have met her in person, she's real nice. Like, always wants to know some about your day, how you're doing, who you are, that type of situation. She really, a lot of the time, is a joy to work with. And at the head of the gang is old Jed Darby himself, the king, at 1,000 gold piece bounty. The only thing I can say about him, whenever I talk to him, I get a feeling that he knows exactly what I'm gonna say before I even say it. Real planner, that one. He has a way of talking that just makes everything he says make sense, if you catch my drift. I mean, fantastic leader. Lots of charisma. The leader of a train robbing gang. You get what you pay for, you know? And last and certainly least is the ace, with a 500 gold bounty. What can I say? He does what they tell him to do, and he kills who needs to be killed. He's the one who they send out when they need to get shit done. Nice to meet you. I'm Chance Belita, ace of the Darby gang. And God willing, when I end up kicking that bucket and finding my own special place in hell, little Bonnie will end up taking my place.
So the stakes are set, and the cards are on the table. We've got a lot of story to cover here. So let's jump right into the story of Infersia. The warm morning light covers the cool city of Inna, as the hustle and bustle of everyday life starts to wind up for another day. Early in the morning rises one Ryder Grimm, who quickly discovers that his brother Roy is missing from the house that they grew up in. After looking around everywhere, he can't seem to find him, causing a bit of a panic. Ryder decides to leave his house to start looking for his brother. Baldur and Chance arrive in Inna. Inna is towards the south of Infersia, divided by a river. Upon their entrance, they end up running into Ryder, who tells the two of them that he's looking for his brother, and could use some help. Chance and Baldur are wanting to be kind, so they say they'll help. So they cross the bridge on the river. Suka and Heiyu are currently wrongfully imprisoned after a duel went wrong, and are looking for a means of escape. In the jail, the two meet Barkley Loggins, and after Suka is able to identify the problem with his necklace, Barkley escapes from the prison himself. While crossing the bridge, the three of them meet Suka and Heiyu, who escaped from the prison thanks to the distraction that Barkley Loggins provided, and the pair decide to join the group, if it means that they're able to escape from being recaptured more effectively. Ryder also admires Suka, as his gun craftsmanship is revered around the city. Ryder finally gives the rundown of what was happening before Roy went missing. The pair were attempting to steal the ring of the Murdoch family, the richest family in Inna. It's a ritual that the family has, that if you want to propose to their daughter, you must take the ring for yourself by breaking in and showing your strength. They were hired by Easton West, the son of the mayor of Inna, to fetch the ring for him to propose to the girl. But Roy saw the opportunity for Ryder to get rich, so they decided to keep the ring for themselves. But when Ryder proposes to the girl with the ring, she explains how she's not interested in him, and requests that this interaction remains a secret. And for one of the only times to ever happen in this story, Ryder follows a direct order. Roy pockets the ring, and they return to Easton, lying to him saying that they failed to get the ring, and they leave on their way, calling it a day. After regaling the group of the story, they decide that their main suspect is Easton, so they decide to go after him. The group is able to track down Easton, and a few of them sneak in to overhear a conversation between Easton and Barkley Loggins. What they're able to overhear is that Barkley was hired by Easton to steal the ring back from Roy, but Barkley was unsuccessful, only being able to scare off Roy. After hearing this, the party initiates combat with the group, but when Chance sees Barkley, he freezes up, casting a sleep spell on him so he isn't able to recognize him. The team is able to tie up Easton and Barkley to extract some well-needed answers. Suka takes a necklace that he repaired for Barkley and confirms his theory that this is a locket, a mysterious magical item that he is not able to use at this time, but hopes to learn more about it as time goes on. And the other important piece of information that they are able to extract is that Roy was scared off eastward, presumably to the town of Sluven. But wait a minute, we've got such a wide cast of colorful characters, how rude of me to not introduce them to you.
My name is Ryder Grimm, and I came in this world to be one thing and one thing only, an outlaw. I didn't have my parents growing up, so it was just me and my brother Roy. Me and him, we were gonna conquer this town. We stole everything, from people walking down the streets to going to shops left, right, and center, punching clerks and stealing everything from the cash register. We get through this life together, me and him. But one day, he disappeared. I would do anything to get my brother back. I teamed up with a tiefling, a bull, a great weaponsmith, and a hobo to find my brother from this Darby gang, who I have no idea who they are. But I vow to kill every single one of those Darby gang members, and so help me God, I will get to all of them. I don't care who they are, and I'll be damned if they're a part of my party.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Heiyu, gotta pay for that, but that's more of what everybody calls me whenever I go out for food at markets and stuff. While some might see me as some kind of a hobo or vagrant, I like to see myself more as a man of nature. I love nature so much. There's just so many different animals and plants to see out there, like wolves, cacti, and even bulls. Just the other day, I met a large bull man who was making some weird kind of statue of himself out of snow, and he had some tiefling man with him who looked kind of sad. They make up a majority of the people I'm about to start adventuring with pretty soon. Don't know exactly how we all met, but I'm so excited to see what happens with them. Look into some danger, some excitement. Like maybe you can see some new animals, guys.
Suka is a very stern sort of individual. He's a gunsmith by trade, and he's always looking around for ways to get a leg up on everyone else, even if it's just really unconventional or straight up weird. He's very big on business as well, so if he thinks he's found a way to make a profit, he will follow that trail to his literal last dying breath, even if it does mean having to take a month-long trip out of town.
His name is Boulder Bishop. He's a large man, well, a minotaur really. He comes from the city of Rakkus, but he's not exactly wanting to go back there anytime soon. Where he's heading is the city of Umber. Boulder, by trade, is a bounty hunter, but that only started recently for, you know, reasons. He's loud, proud, loyal, a bit overly emotional. And he's dumb. He's so dumb. Numbers past 3 baffle him. But what he is loyal to is his friends. Which, when he was in Umber, he made a great one. He went to Umber to chase down a bounty. Some schmuck named Ace Belita, dumb name, But what he found instead was a kind tiefling doctor named Chance. The two of them had a bit of a misunderstanding that led to a small, we'll call it a kerfuffle. But after it was all done, they realized they weren't so different. They both had pasts that they were trying to escape, and they wanted to help each other be better. They stayed in Umber for a little while, helping out the occasional person that needed it, until a few days after mating, they ran into someone from Chance's past, a young man named Ben Janko. Balder didn't think much of him, just a little kid that couldn't really do much until he hit him with them swords. Holy cow, that kid was strong. Balder and Chance managed to escape, and after it was all done, Chance thought it would be best if they leave town to avoid his past. So that was when the two disembarked for the city of Inna.
Chance Belita is a humble doctor who lives in the city of Umber. He's a pretty melancholy fellow with a habit of giving speeches about morals to whoever will listen. He spends most of his days giving out free medical treatment from his home, and his nights drinking his sorrows away, almost like he has something he wants to forget. He leads a pretty slow life, helping out who he can and trying to make Umber a better place, until one day his whole life is uprooted by a bull who charges into his doctor's office looking for an ace. He's then led on a wild goose chase throughout all of Infersia, hoping to reconcile his dark past and seek redemption.
A very unlikely cast has been brought together under very unlikely circumstances, all thanks to the actions of the Darby gang. And as you'll soon find out, this group has much stronger motivations in finding Jed than you might realize. The party is now on a wild goose chase to find Ryder's brother, but to get to their next destination they must enter the Sluven tunnels, an underground labyrinth that was used for a lot of mining expeditions, which have made the caves incredibly unstable. They come across many ancient cave paintings in these tunnels. The first one, an ancient carving, marking two twin snake beings, one with feathered wings and the other with 3 horns on their head, 2 on the side and 1 on its bottom jaw. The second painting, much older, is a charcoal drawing of 4 figures all riding horses. As they continue on, the tunnel is filled with bioluminescent spores. As they ingest them, some of the party starts to feel the effects of this hallucinogen. Heiyu, Ryder, and Balder are all convinced that the walls are closing in on them. Chance and Suka are forced to help snap them out of it. Towards the other side of the tunnel, Balder stumbles upon a note on the ground. Deciding not to open it and hands it to Chance. Chance opens the note to read, "Dear Bonnie, our old ace has been spotted. Your next assignment is to track him down. They say he's heading east, so take my nephew with you. Take care of him, alright? Signed, Al." Chance pockets the note and lies about its contents. There's something that he doesn't want to tell the party. When they exit the tunnels, they start crossing a frozen lake. As they make their way over, a bone naga bursts out of the lake. The group attempts to rush across the lake, while Balder attempts to use himself as a distraction. He does most of the damage and lands the final hit on the bone naga, and the group has successfully made it to the outskirts of Sluven. Sluven is another cold town, located within the land of Icehoff, with a brisk evergreen landscape, with the thing that catches your eye the most being the construction project of a Fey Gate, which, if you don't know, is basically just a portal to another dimension. In this case, it's the Feywild, which is basically like this mystical wilderness, filled with magical creatures and elves. The party has had a very long day of traveling and combat, and opts to take the first day just to rest up. They end up checking in at the Icebreak Resort, where they are enthusiastically greeted by a very happy-go-lucky manager, who very eagerly offers them a place to stay. The group then disperses to do their own things. Chance ends up just going to his room and locking the door. Balder ends up going ice fishing and making a new friend, while Heiyu and Suka end up going to the Natural History Museum of Sluven, where they find out some very interesting things. There are many dioramas in this place that offer a lot of lore to the world of Infersia. The first one shows a volcano erupting, with clouds swirling around it, not with just grays and blacks, but colors like purples and greens. And the plaque describing this diorama is Delis, the pinnacle. Another diorama depicts the same serpent that they saw within the caves that they were just in. And finally, they see a diorama depicting the Infersian Civil War. While all this is going on, Ryder is left unattended, so he decides to start snooping around the hotel to see what he can steal. He goes behind the main desk, but makes the realization that something very peculiar is going on. Not only is there no money being stored here, The person who greeted them in the first place is nowhere to be found. Upon further investigation, Ryder is also able to find some logs of the hotel, revealing some people who have recently stayed at the hotel, including one Aljenko, the man who wrote the note. The group eventually meets back up for dinner, where Baldur decides to order the strongest thing on the menu, but what none of them realize is that a bit of blue goop is put inside Baldur's drink, where the effects of this do not take hold until later in the night. Once they all fall asleep, Baldur is suddenly awoken with contortions and violent vomiting. His body is rejecting what was put in his drink, but it seems to be a bit more than just a poison, as his limbs start to contort and break. He lets out a large howl, waking up the rest of the party, and what they soon realize is that the exit doors have been locked, and the windows have gone black with no sign of the night sky. They break into Baldur's room to see quite the sight. The giant Minotaur man is being held up in the air by large ectoplasm tentacles and a cocoon right under him. They're able to break Baldur free and heal him back to health, but the cocoon is left up to a mystery. Suka opts to just shooting the cocoon so they don't have to deal with it, but Chance stops him before he's able to do anything, telling him that it might just be another victim. They're able to break open the cocoon, revealing one Bonnie McIntosh, the recipient of Aljenko's note. Once the cocoon is fully opened, Bonnie springs to life with a bombastic energy, immediately punching Chance in the face after recognizing him. Baldur immediately falls in love with her bombastic personality, but her energy quickly changes from excitement to concern as she realizes that her protege Ben Janko is nowhere to be found. She tells the party this, and they all decide to help look for him. They're eventually able to find Ben after some elbow grease getting him out of the chimney in the fireplace. He is knocked out cold with no signs of waking up anytime soon. While there may be a sigh of relief in finding Ben, their reprise does not last long, as suddenly a ghost bride appears in the halls, who reveals that she was puppeting the manager the whole time as a way of luring in guests into the hotel. The hall is sprung to life as she starts to fling items at the party, forcing them to dodge and run away. During this whole debacle, they find out that this is Avery, someone who was mentioned in the logs along with Aljenko. And as it turns out, her and her groom were murdered on their wedding day by someone who wields a sword and a dagger, a fighting style very reminiscent of the Janko family. The party comes up with a crazy idea to get out of this mess. They perform some form of arcana seance in the room with the most ectoplasm, the room where Bonnie and Baldur were being held. They're eventually able to summon Hugo, the groom of the ghost bride, and they end up explaining to him what's going on with Avery. With some persuasion, the two of them end up meeting, and they finally have their ballroom dance, as their souls light up into two bright balls and dissipate into nothing. The doors are unlocked and the windows light up again, revealing daylight. And they're all able to finally breathe a sigh of relief. Now many of you might be wondering to yourself, where am I in all of this story? Well, as it turns out, I wasn't originally supposed to be a part of this campaign, but Connor had made a character that has now been introduced to the party, and he needed someone to play that part. And he ended up coming to me, offering the idea of playing Ben Janko. As the morning light is cracking through the windows of the hotel, Ben eventually wakes up, and Bonnie immediately rushes to him, embracing him, very glad that he's okay. But once again, their sigh of relief is cut short, and as my friend Gandalf once said, out of the frying pan and into the fire. At this point, Bonnie turns and reaches into her shirt, pulling out a detonator. The detonator magically summons 3 sticks of dynamite set to explode at any minute. The detonator is Bonnie's lockhead.
Please, Bonnie, I don't know what Darby has set you up to do, but you don't have to do this.
Ever since I joined the gang, I felt so trapped. And things have only gotten worse since you left. Darby's getting more ruthless, like he's got something planned. I just stay off Rakkus to avoid running into him.
Okay. Whatever Darby is doing, I'm sure we can fix it. Bonnie, leaving you was the worst part of it all. I regret it every single day. You did not deserve that. We could start over now. You could come with us.
I just don't want to be alone anymore. The best place to find Roy will probably be in Rakkus. He was intercepted by another member when he ditched town. It's your best bet.
Suddenly, her pocket lights up. She pulls out a glowing sending stone to read it. Her eyes immediately glaze over, as if her body is not her own anymore, and starts turning some knobs on her lockhead. Suddenly, a stick of dynamite appears in her mouth, and before anyone can react, they run and look at the stone, which reads only 2 words. Kill yourself.
Oh, kid. I'm so sorry.
The party is in pain and disbelief. The true motivations behind Darby's actions is still a mystery to them all, but that doesn't change the fact that he's done what he's done. Ben, Chance, and Balder take the time to bury Bonnie to give her the proper respect that she deserves. But while Jed Darby tried to extinguish all the hope of the party, there still is a light at the end of the tunnel. They have a lead on the possible whereabouts of Roy Grimm, thanks to Bonnie, and now Ben Janko has joined their party. Ben, up until this point, has had a surprisingly stable life, considering that he's kind of grown up with the gang. He's always had some form of stable parental figure in his life, whether that be Al Janko or Bonnie McIntosh, to kind of take the lead in how to take care of himself and how to fight. And he's also had a ton of experiences with Chance, who seems to be taking the lead of this party. With the death of Bonnie and the culprit well known, Ben has no reason to stay loyal to the gang. The fastest way to get to Rakkus is through the Fey portal, which is currently under construction, but is projected to be finished within the week. This is where the gameplay mechanic of downtime comes into play. Depending on the amount of time that you're given, your character is able to do certain things to either improve his stats, or learn a new proficiency, or do more roleplay type stuff. To start off with Ben, this was the first session that I actually ended up playing in, so I wanted to start out with sort of a bang by kind of recreating a scene from Demon Slayer where he finally accomplishes his training with his sword. A few of the others decided to check out the rest of the town, go shopping, and be up to some no good chicanery. Heiyu ends up going to a stonesmith where he finds 2 metal rods that he ends up purchasing for a large amount of money, and Ryder and Balder end up causing some chaos. Ryder ends up bullying some kids at a playground, forcing them to go crying off into the town, pretending to be Chance Belita. Balder's still very upset over everything, almost gets into a fight with the bartender that's been serving him, but is stopped when 2 kids come in running and crying. As it turns out, the bartender is the father of the 2 kids being bullied by Ryder, and the kids tell him that someone named Chance has been bullying them. But something very significant happened during this downtime as well. Suka ends up running into someone who might be able to help explain to him the magic of the Lockhead. Who Suka ends up actually running into is Pete, a magic item salesman that he met in Inna.
Oh, excuse Suka Kanin. Wow, it's been a while.
Pete,
Well, how have you been? How can I help you?
it's been all good. Just got a little bit of my mind these days.
Oh yeah, what brings you out here to Sluven? It sure is a little ways away from Inna.
Just we were on a little bit of a trail, and now we're looking for some help with something along the lines of a lockhead, if you've heard of it.
A lockhead? You want to know about lockheads?
That's right.
Can I buy you a drink? So, what's got your mind on lockheads of all things?
Some time ago, back in Inna, I had a run-in with a specific fella that had something of the like on him. I decided to take it off of his person. I was investigating it for some time, and then we had another run-in with another possessor later on. Although unfortunately, this meeting did not end as well as the next.
Well, lockheads aren't necessarily for the sensitive of soul. Do you really want to know?
I can't say I don't.
Well, it's gonna cost you something. It's gonna cost you something real important.
Suka proceeds to pick up a rock from the ground and infuse light into it, hoping that this would be an enticing enough offer to Pete. But Pete picks up the rock and immediately rejects it by throwing it out the window.
You think I care at all about your rocks and your little magic you got already? You got a bright mind, Suka. There's something else to it.
Well, I haven't got much on my person that I'm really willing to part with. So if I were to give you anything in this scenario, it'd just be a piece of my mind.
You certainly could do that. In the most literal of ways.
Suka reaches out, grabbing Pete's hand, and he's immediately taken into a black void with a golden orb the size of a marble floating right in front of him. He tries reaching out for it, but it flies away. He starts to run after it, what feels like for days, but not getting anywhere. After chasing this thing for so long, Suka finally decides to sit down and meditate. And sure enough, the soul approaches him and flies directly into him. He opens his eyes, and from now on, as he interacts with those closest to him, he can see the outline of their soul in their being. But the price that Pete required was a portion of his knowledge that was set aside to make room for this new vision. After this week of downtime, the party has had time to recuperate and are now ready for the next leg of the journey. The Fey Gate has completed construction in Sluven, and they are allowed entry on their way to Rakkus. The Feywild is a wondrous place, filled with magical entities and an entire unique culture of people. They stumble on some form of Fey frat party of the Eladrin. The group joins this sort of Fey frat party, where they're able to kind of enjoy the amenities like Ryder trying to get a girlfriend, and Heiyu sneaking off into the wilderness to check out this new Fey Wild. Although they all try to enjoy their time in this party, they are singled out for not being part of the Fey Wild, and end up getting into kind of a conflict where the emotionally unstable Balder ends up killing someone with a single punch, immediately resorting to violence instead of trying to de-escalate the situation. This turns into an entire fight, with Chance scolding him, telling him that this is not the way to act, especially with someone with such immense strength. One fun fact about the Feywild is that the weather is mainly dictated with emotion, so the bright clear day that they walked into may have been that frat party's responsibility. Now that they're going further into the wilderness, they're soon going to feel the effects of their own emotions. The instability of the party, the constant bickering and getting into trouble is weighing down on an already ticked off Benjenko, who has gone almost non-verbal at this time, trying to withhold his anger from his new party members. But obviously with this magic weather of the Fey, this would soon come to bite them. The party ends up having to look for Heiyu as he's wandered way far off in the wilderness, ending up meeting some form of unicorn who literally tells him, "No one will believe you." But as the party bickers even more while they try to find Heiyu, Ben finally snaps and a blizzard falls on the cart as the party has lost sight of each other and are starting to take cold damage. Eventually they're all able to find each other, and Heiyu ends up summoning one of his dogs as sort of this kind of therapy treatment. What they all realize is that they need to be honest with their emotions, because bottling them up here will punish them in other ways. They make it to a fork in the road with the option of going through Quarler's Pass, a direct shot through a mountain that is the quicker way of getting to the other side, or they can go around. Everyone opts to go through the pass, but Balder has gained some form of intense claustrophobia and refuses to go through the cave, and nearly has a panic attack thinking about going into the cave. This forces the entire party to take the long way around, which turned out to be a more perilous journey than what they thought. They end up waking an adult dragon and are forced to start running around the mountain. The dragon is keeping up with the cart, so Ben splits off with his own horse to try to take some of the attention off of it. Balder jumps out of the cart and starts pushing the cart to add a bit of extra movement, and Ryder, Suka, and Heiyu all use their ranged abilities to shoot at the dragon. All in the meanwhile, Chance has to maintain control of this cart while actively dashing at every turn. The party soon enough slays the dragon, not before Balder tries to sacrifice himself for the party again, but luckily the dragon was killed before the dragon had another turn. Suka ends up taking some dragon scales from the corpse, and Ben takes a dragon canine as proof that he helped kill a dragon, the first one he had ever seen. After a few days' journey, they make it to the other side of this Fey gate, where they step through and are greeted by a security guard in the heart of Rakkus. The cold peace of Inna and Sluven are now gone, and the bitter chaos of Rakkus now stands in front of them. There are multiple places of interest throughout Rakkus that may provide clues on the whereabouts of Roy. Ryder enters a gun shop, run by a man named Gun. After hearing his very reasonable prices though, Ryder decides that these are completely unreasonable prices, and decides to trash his shop and leave. But throughout the chaos, Ryder gets pickpocketed by a tiefling man, who steals a card that he originally stole in Sluven, and is tailed to the Wild Blue Casino. Heiyu, Chance, and Ben go to the casino first, to pick up any information on the Darby gang or the whereabouts of Roy. Heiyu turns into a horse for a "why the long face" joke. Chance books into the casino with his horse and carriage, causing quite a stir, but ends up leaving when he hears something about the Chaos Arena, narrowly missing the tiefling and Ryder entering the building. Throughout all of this, Ben spots the tiefling trailing Ryder, and immediately recognizes him. This is Jed Darby. Ben attempts to trail Jed, attempting to learn more about what he may be up to. But even with a mod 20 stealth roll, Jed spots Ben and coaxes him into a conversation right out in the open.
Ben, what are you doing here?
Jed.
That is my name. You're very good at saying one-syllable words. What can I do for you?
I guess I could ask you the same question. What's been going on?
I don't know what you're talking about. I've been here in Rakkus this whole time tying up some loose ends.
I guess Bonnie was one of those, huh?
Something happened with Bonnie? That makes sense. She's nowhere near you right now. Real shame. Real shame. Okay, Ben, before you go, you probably want to tell Chance Belita to keep his eye out. He doesn't want another Deidreville to happen.
Deidreville? Deidreville. proved to be a very fruitful day in Rakkus, as they now have a lead on what Darby may be up to. As they meet up again, Balder takes the lead since he's lived in Rakkus for most of his life, and tells them that he knows of a place where they won't be tracked. He takes the group to a house owned by Harold Sundu. Harold was basically Balder's caretaker. Once his career in the Chaos Arena came to a chaotic close, Harold took care of him at his lowest moments. When they open the door, they're greeted with open arms. Immediately, Heyu is enamored with the smell of mac and cheese, which has been cooking, and luckily, he made enough for all of them. Harold gives Balder his old chess set and tells him that he's a good man. But the gang is happy to finally have a place to rest. So the gang goes to sleep, while Balder and Harold go on a walk to catch up on things. Harold tells Balder that he's so proud of how much he's grown and is happy that he's finally back in his life. Balder thanks him for all that he's done and starts telling him about the people he's met, including his party members. While all this is happening, Suka never went to sleep, never really finding a reason to trust Harold in the first place. So he starts investigating the house and opens a room to find the decomposing corpse of Harold Sundu? Suka shoots in the air, waking up the entire party, alerting them all, getting him to the front of the room to show him his discovery. But at this point, it's already too late, as Harold turns to Balder, saying, "Thank you so much for bringing
Chance Belita to me. Now, sleep."
With a twist of the Murdoch ring, Balder faints. The party starts frantically looking for him all over the city, using locate object or anything to try to find where he went, but to no avail. As Balder comes to, he wakes up in a magically sealed kennel, filled with posters and a calendar. Sitting in the darkness is an old enemy, Otto Panzish. His face is scarred and his bottom jaw has been torn off. It seems Balder wasn't the only one affected by their last duel.
Ugh, my head. Ugh, where am I? No. No, let me out. Harold, where are you? Chains? Anyone? Get me out of here. Please get out! God, fuck!
Due to Otto's physical condition, he isn't able to talk to Balder, but he is able to communicate with him with a necklace.
How about that? Cow's awake finally.
You.
Me? How are you, my friend?
Fuck you.
Aw, you're feisty. You're a lot feistier than you were in the arena.
And you're a lot uglier.
Yeah. I got you to thank for that. Probably why I gotta kick your ass tomorrow, huh? What? Nothing to say? You still think about that girl?
Don't you talk about her. Don't you dare!
I'll talk about whoever I want. Thank you very much. I can say whatever I'm feeling because you know what? You ruined my life. You, with your disgusting religion and your need to be real, to be human. Oh man, you've been a thorn in my side for a while.
And I'm about to be a horn in your throat. Let me out of here and we'll settle this.
You can keep moving, It's okay, little guy. I will see you tomorrow when I finally show everybody what a low-life piece of trash you really are. Have a good day, Balder.
Otto gets up and leaves Balder in a claustrophobic solitude. This isn't the first time Balder has experienced this. His history with the Chaos Arena is one of violence and trauma, and his fear of tight and cramped spaces must have come from here. Balder is left defenseless, his weapons and armor stripped from him, and he is alone. Eventually, they start to move Balder over to the Chaos Arena, and in walks someone that he doesn't recognize, but may be able to help.
Well, you're a sight for sore eyes, aren't you?
Balder wakes up from being in the fetal position on the floor of the cage, looks up at the strange person that's just entered the cart.
Who the fuck are you?
It doesn't matter. I gotta keep watch on you, though.
You mind not? And maybe leaving some keys?
Oh, I wish I would, my friend. I wish I could.
Friends, is that what we are?
Something like that. I'd say so.
Well then, friend. Would you mind, letting me out before, I'll get a little less friendly?
Balder, grips the cage bars.
Not that you could do anything if you wanted to, but I reckon that you probably want to actually listen to me instead of flashing out.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere.
Jed's taking you on a real dark ride, and while I can't help you a ton, I can definitely help you a little bit.
The mysterious man reaches his hand into the cage, holding a blue gumball, giving it to Balder.
Chew on that and you'll get some flavor and a little something extra to help even the odds.
Balder, like, holds it and sniffs it, gives it a little lick, and he's like, "You're telling me you're giving me something to save my life, and it's blue raspberry flavored?"
Hey, you can't go wrong with blue raspberry, I'll tell you that. It's one of those peak flavors.
And he puts it in his pocket. "Why are you doing this?"
Well, you've been kind to my family, so you're basically family to me now.
Although Jed has led them to this exact moment just as he has planned, the party disregards this, knowing that Balder is priority number 1. As part of their preparation, they learn of a back entrance to the arena, where Balder is most likely to be transported to the day of the duel. They devise a plan to secretly enter the back, while keeping Jed's attention in the arena by sending Chance and Ben to front row seats that they had purchased earlier. Ben still has a functioning lockhead, and since Bonnie's lockhead was weaponized against her, Ben fears that betraying Jed outright could get him killed just like her. Ben and Chance enter the arena, but the rest of the party ends up getting into some trouble as they run into a kitted out Barkley Loggins and Iris Koga, who were waiting for them. A battle ensues where the split-up party struggles to deal with the Darby members, and the arena guards also attempt to overwhelm the party. Chance, suspecting something is wrong, slips past some of the guards to the lower parts of the arena, where he follows some very peculiar-looking piping, where he runs into the rest of this battle. Ben is left alone where he isn't able to perceive anything out of the ordinary. The party has walked right into Jed's trap, but the level of preparation that Jed had for them taking the back entrance may show his hand that Balder may not be the main target of this operation. Within the ring, chaos resound. The matador with twisted grin takes stage. With scales of blue, his presence does astound. He taunts the beast, ignites its fiery rage. The minotaur with eyes of hateful flame, it charges forth a storm of vengeful force. The matador with skill both vile and vain, he dances death's ballet, no signs of remorse. Yet in the beast his fury deep awakes. A primal roar erupts, a savage ire. With every wound, its strength anew it takes, till Matador is drowned in green chaos fire. The villain falls, his fate is signed, torn limb from limb by the beast he sought to bind. The Minotaur victorious collapses. The applause from the devil relapses. As silence cloaks the Colosseum, the mastermind revels in his symposium.
For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Chance, and I used to be the ace of the Darby gang. This is Balder Bishop. You all may not know him, but he's a good kid. Loves waffles, never stops smiling, would do anything for a friend. He's the best friend I ever had. He didn't deserve this, and neither did Otto. This is what Jed Darby does. He takes good, honest people and plays games with their lives. And for what? Gold? His amusement? Jed's weapon isn't a pistol or a rifle. It's fear. He uses fear to control people and gets them to do awful things to others. I'm so tired of it. I'm tired of him ruining the lives of good people like Balder, and I'm tired of being afraid of him. We cannot be afraid of Jed Darby. Because without fear, he's just a man. This world could use a lot less people like Darby and more people like Baldur. Those who go out of their way to help others. Good people.
Suka wakes up around a campfire, his party members surrounding him. Baldur still passed out. He reels in pain as he feels a large scar across his face. In the ensuing battle with Barkley Loggins and Irish Kolka, Suka nearly succumbed to his wounds until he was eventually healed after the battle. This functionally serves as a scar. Basically, when a character fails their death rolls, the first time this happens, they are scarred, so some negative effect happens to them, and next time this is to happen to them, they are to die completely outright. What had happened under the arena during Baldur's battle was that Loggins and Kolka were defending a control center for some form of gas manifold, and not gas like fuel, gas like poisonous gas. What initially Chance found was little pipes under every chair in the arena that when he followed back to, were all connected to the system that initially planned to gas the entire arena, killing thousands, including the Darby members. Chance in the nick of time is able to sever the pipe, stopping this catastrophe in its tracks, and Barkley and Iris are defeated. During this time of healing, Baldur eventually wakes up, not remembering anything that happened, and Ben describes what happened during the duel. Baldur becomes frustrated and sad, wanting his final duel with Otto to go out on his terms. Suka looks at his soul, which now seems to be hurt, surrounded by this green flame attacking it directly. This raging chaos bowl is putting a weight on Baldur's soul. Baldur then describes to the party that he ended up getting some help after all, showing that he has his weapons. And when he describes the person who helped him, Chance and Ben recognize this description. Not soon after, the two of them head out to the only place they know that Aljanko might be. But before the session could end, while the rest of the party heals up and forages for items, Chance walks up to Suka, handing them a card to an HOA meeting in 2 days. And on the card, the name of the HOA president, Angie Mae Ellis. After a couple convincing words, Chance walks out into the woods again, with no explanation as to why. Chance and Ben make their way to the inner circles of Rakkus, where they know Aljanko's apartment to be. As they approach, they're hoping to learn why he ended up helping Baldur, and maybe he knows the whereabouts of Roy. The two of them open the door to reveal a very tired Aljanko.
Well, about time you guys showed up.
Been a while, old man.
Yeah, it certainly has. Because you don't visit as often as you used to.
Al quickly puts a piece of gum in his mouth. Al, oh my god, I have so many stories to tell you.
You seem excited to tell them.
Wait, what? Oh, okay, so like Baldur, he had like, you helped Baldur?
That's the bull, right? Yeah, I helped him.
How did you get to him? How did you know?
What, you don't trust your old man to do things like that? I may be old, but I still got it. Trust.
Dude, oh my god. Wait, I have something to show you. Ben reaches into his bag to pull out a pristine dragon canine that he got in the Feywild. Do you know what this is?
Well, look at that. Is that a dragon tooth?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I didn't actually believe they existed, but so we're in the Feywild and we get at this like dragon nest, but then like we wake it up, of course. So then I have to start stabbing it a bunch and I kill it. I killed it. I killed the dragon.
That's really great, kiddo. Are you letting him go on these wild adventures, Chance?
It's not really like that, but speaking of Baldur, I wanted to thank you, Al, for what you did for him. He's a good kid.
Hey, he helps my family, I help his. It's just how it works.
So you're still in it?
I'll probably be in it for as long as I'm still alive, huh? Sometimes you gotta sit and you gotta realize this is the bed that you've made and gotta be okay with sleeping in it.
Then what's the plan then?
I don't know. What is the plan? The beauty is you don't have a completely made bed yet. So it's up to you to decide what it is.
Well, we're trying to help our friend find his brother.
Are you talking about Roy Grimm?
Yeah, what? How did you... Oh, right.
And what's your plan, huh? You're gonna get your friend from wherever he is, and then from there, take on the big bad, be heroes.
Sounds pretty good to me.
It's not that... Okay, look. Someone needs to stop Darby, okay? That's what matters.
And how do I know it's gonna be you? You've probably gone soft. I've heard that you don't even swipe anymore, Belita.
Appreciate everything you taught me, old man, but it doesn't feel good anymore, really. I don't want to hurt people.
Well, sometimes hurting people is a fact of life. Blood on your hands ain't gonna be something that you choose. But you can choose whose blood it is. Show me. Show me you got the capacity to choose still.
This is a very off-putting battle. The father figure to both of these characters has just challenged them both to a duel. And he strikes first. With an unloaded revolver, he pistol whips both of them. And the two of them are left with no choice but to attack their father figure. A series of blows are traded. Ben even attempts to tackle him to the ground to see if he could end the battle early. Until finally Chance lands a final blow that convinces Al.
What the hell was that? Old man, you can't just get up and start swinging at us. What was that all about?
Man, when have you been the person to tell me what to do? I can do whatever I want. That was a test, my friend. Hey, can you take care of my trash for me?
Al hands Ben the crumpled up gum wrapper.
You're gonna make the right choices. I know you will.
Don't be talking like that, old man. You're gonna live longer than I am.
It's a funny joke. If anybody's gonna take down that man, it's gonna be y'all. And when it's all said and done, live a good life. For me. I love you both.
Al collapses to the floor dead, completely shocking the two of them. The piece of gum he put in his mouth was a poison that was slowly killing him over the course of the fight. It seems Al wanted one last moment with his two boys, and he also wanted them to prove to him that they're able to make it on their own without him. And that crumpled up gum wrapper that he handed to Ben had the location of where Roy was being held. But why did he have to die? To put it simply, he made a bargain with Jed. His life for Ben's. If he was to go down without a fight, Jed would allow Ben to live a full life, free from the gang. With this new revelation, Chance and Baldur can finally provide their end of their promise to Ryder. They head into the sewers of Rakkus. These sewers are relics of the Infersian Empire, which moves water uniquely with large gusts pushing them down the aqueducts. Murderous alligators and robot parts are found throughout this labyrinth, until they reach a cage and find someone very familiar.
God, I hate this sewer. I just want to know when we get the hell out of here. Wait, is that Roy?
Ryder, come, get me out of this cell.
Hold on, I'm coming.
I think it's time you finally meet our final player character.
Howdy, the name's Roy Grimm. This world is tough. It'll chew a man up and spit him out. Lucky for me and my brother Ryder, I'm no normal man. Growing up, me and my brother would do anything to get by. He would call us outlaws. I would call us survivors. Folks have to walk a gray line in Infersia, and I'll do whatever is needed to put food on our plates and bullets in our guns. Sadly, my survival instinct led to an encounter with the Darby gang. Now, I'm wasting away in this sewer until my brother and his friends can get me the hell out of here. Oh, Ryder, thank you for getting those shackles off me. They were really starting to hurt my wrists.
Yeah, Roy, are you okay or anything? Do you need, like, bandages or anything?
No, I'm good. I'm better now. Thanks for coming and helping me. I knew you'd be down here eventually. I'm just happy that it's right now. And it seems like you got yourself quite the group.
Yeah, they're an interesting bunch, especially that tiefling, that red tiefling, kind of like a devil. He is a devil. Yeah, you should come meet him.
While approaching the other party members, something catches Ryder's eye. As he looks down at Roy's side, he sees a very ornate-looking revolver.
Whoa, Roy, that's a really good-looking gun you got there. Where'd you get it?
Thanks. Someone gave it to me before I got locked down in this place. It's a real beaut. Can't wait to show you the damage I'm gonna do with this thing.
Man, I'm glad you're armed down here. These sewers are nothing to play around.
This video has taken so long that I've had to change setups in between it. So the party now has completed their main task. The original reason why the party came together was because Chance and Baldur promised Ryder that they would help him find his brother, which they now had done with the help of Al Janko, of course. But that isn't the only thing Al left him with. Within his book collection, Chance found some very interesting things. First off, a book on changelings, which provides a ton of research on the anatomy of the changeling and their extremely short lifespan. And the party is basically able to decipher that Jed Darby is a changeling, which would explain so many things, like how Harold Sundu was dead in his own house, yet was still able to check the party and kidnap Boulder. It was Jed all along. And it also explains why Chance showed up back to the party to give him an HOA meeting card, even though Chance and Ben were heading off to Aljanko's house at that time. For some reason, Jed is luring them straight to Angie Mae Ellis. And something else interesting about Angie is in a separate book that Chance gives to Suka, which describes a bit of the history of lockheads. The information comes from someone named Zen Potsoul, who seemed to have been the master that taught Angie Mae Ellis about lockheads. What Suka is able to glean from this book is that lockheads aren't just normal magic items. They are items created by two interconnected souls, where a key aspect of one soul is placed into the lockhead, which then bestows the user with some incredible powers, which we've seen with Barclay Loggins and Ben Janko. So all eyes have been set on Angie Mae Ellis. Not only does she have the closest connection to Jed Darby, being his wife, but she might be able to bestow some more information on lockheads that may prove to be useful. While others opted to help get resources for the upcoming nights, the Grimm brothers decided to go back to the gun store that Ryder originally harassed when they first got into town.
Yeah, that's right, Gun. You ain't gonna do anything but sit there and watch me trash your shitty little gun store because you don't have the balls to do anything.
Ryder, what are you doing?
What?
I'm so sorry, sir. I'll stay and make sure I clean up my brother's mess. Ryder, can you just please wait outside?
Okay.
Roy takes the time to pick up all the trash that Ryder threw on the ground and resets back the weapons and ammunition on the walls that he tore off.
Ryder, what was that in there?
What? It was just like, it's like what we always do when we go to like places to rob. You know, trash it and then just rob them.
Ryder, when we did those things, it was for a purpose. It was because we needed to. We needed to survive, Ryder. That was just petty and a waste of time.
What do you mean? We always do that type of stuff.
Not anymore.
What? Dude, you like changed. What happened? You used to be cool when we did all this stuff, and now like you're trying to be all smart about it? That's not like you. That's not the Roy I know.
Maybe you're the one who's changed. Find me later.
Along with the Grimm brothers, Hayu also goes out wandering in the wilderness where a small little woodpecker finds him and flies right in front of him. Hayu immediately recognizes her as Mackenzie, his sort of long-distance girlfriend who bonds with him over things like nature and animals. She wild shapes back to her human form and they immediately hit it off.
Mac?
Hey, Gata.
What are you doing here?
What are you talking about? I live here, silly.
Oh, that's right, you live here. I completely forgot. Oh my, oh man, oh man, my brain sometimes.
You've been getting my letters, right? I'd sure hope so.
I've been getting your letters here and there. I'm sorry I haven't written back. I mean, you know, it's nearly impossible. It's hard to find a post office out here. It is crazy. Let me tell you that it is insane to get mail out.
I'm sure.
Mac and Hayu make their way out of the woods into the outer circles of Rakkus, into a richer neighborhood where they approach a very large mansion with the letter D written on their mailbox. As they enter the house, they are hit with the aroma of freshly baked noodles.
Ah, you're both here. Very nice to meet the man that...
Well, as it turns out, Mackenzie is the daughter of Jed Darby, who Hayu has just walked directly into his house, who is just as surprised as Jed is that he's there. After some very awkward introductions, Mackenzie leaves to use the restroom, leaving the two of them alone.
What the hell are you doing here?
I swear to you, I had absolutely no idea.
That can't be right. Somebody put you up to this. Was it that Janko kid? Was it Belita? Who set you up here?
Mr. Darby, sir, I can assure you that neither of those two know about this. Truth be told, I don't think none of them know about your daughter. I swear to you, I am just as surprised as you are.
I highly doubt that. You'll cross the line here, boy. You'll cross the line and I know it.
Well, for the record, sir, I am extremely sorry. I will keep saying this. I had no idea. I could have swore her last name was Darby.
And you swear that on your life?
Yes, I swear that on my life, sir.
And you love my daughter?
Very much so.
Well, let me ask you this, boy. Just how far are you willing to go for her?
What did you have in mind?
The night grows darker and darker, and the party falls asleep once again. When dawn breaks, Ryder's the first one to wake up, and immediately heads back to the gun shop he just was at with Roy. But in a twist of fate, before Gunn can respond to him, he immediately apologizes to Gunn and offers to work for free for the whole day, cleaning and maintaining his store. It's at this point in the story that I really want to try getting across how absolutely dumbfounded we were at the works of Jed Darby. For those who are unfamiliar with D&D, this isn't just some story that we're reading, this is a story that is actively being played out, and anything can happen and anything can change based on the decisions that the party makes. So we can make it a lot easier if we figure out something really smart with either the mechanics of the game or some form of story element that we're able to exploit. And that's what we tried doing, especially at the Chaos Arena where we split up the party trying to stop whatever the hell Jed was up to there, which they ended up doing, but it wasn't with ease since there were Darby members waiting for them there. And now they once again know this is where Jed wants them to go, since it was Jed that gave them the invitation in the first place. If you were an acting member in this party, what would you be thinking at this time? You know you're basically walking into a trap, and yet they're the only person left that may be able to help you in this entire mission to stop Jed Darby, the person closest to him. But you also know that this is exactly what he wants. What would you do? What we decided on was to go to the meeting. That's it. Our plan was to walk in, no stealth, no nothing, and attempt diplomacy. Something that this party doesn't have a lot of experience with, other than chance maybe. Once the HOA meeting finishes, and Angie is left alone with the party, everyone starts hounding her with questions about Jed Darby and the Darby gang, and what are we gonna do? Can't she help us? Blah 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 blah. But Angie has no interest in helping these random people. She only recognizes Ben and Chance, and she knows the antics that they've been getting up to recently, and I highly doubt she's going to betray her husband for a bunch of random hooligans that walked in on her. It isn't until Suka mentions lockheads and starts asking about the soul that finally something piques her interest. She clicks a pocket watch at her side, confirms with Suka that this is what he wants, and sends the two of them in that same black inky void that Pete sent him in Sluven. And Angie starts to describe to Suka some very interesting things, including that this void has a name, the Weave, which is the home of all magical things, and where the reality of the soul resides. Suka's main quest has been to learn more about the lockhead and to master the craft of the lockhead, but there's quite a unique curveball that Angie throws at him, explaining to him that the lockhead cannot be created in solo, but rather in tandem. It's not entirely an act of craftsmanship, but more an act of communion. But it's at this point that Angie starts to wake up again. Suka knowing nothing of this, his mind now floating around in this weave. Angie explains if he wants to learn more, he's gonna have to find a way out of this place by himself. When Angie wakes up to the rest of the party, she's quite a bit different. Her eyes like daggers, and her voice like poison. She now speaks quickly and precisely, and she describes to them all how she worked on the lockheads of the Darby gang. While she had a connection with every member of the Darby gang and was able to place a piece of their soul into their lockhead, she always selfishly took a little bit of their soul for herself. With a casting of marbles, she summons the Darby gang in front of them all. Reflections of the Darby gang souls, with Bonnie, Ace, Otto, Iris, and Barkley all showing up in front of them, ready for a duel. This was absolutely the most unique fight in the entire campaign, with some insane things going on. Ben had to face this echo of Bonnie, who verbally berates him, blaming him for her death. Chance is fighting his older self, or at least the most wicked and vile portions of him. Ryder gets his run back on Iris as he didn't get the final kill on her, and he's really looking for some revenge. Balder pairs up with Otto, of course, hoping to finally get the duel that he always wanted. And finally Roy targeting Angie herself, noticing that the pocket watch she has may be the key to this. The now conflicted Heiyu watches from above in the rafters, not truly knowing what he wants to do. He doesn't want to betray his party as they've become his friends and they've been helping along in his journey, but he also doesn't want to betray Mac, knowing that this is her mother. He does summon some wolves to help fight off Barkley, but he makes sure to never hurt Angie himself, trying to find some form of middle ground in this impossible situation. The party starts besting their foes and picking off the rest of the Darby souls and focus their attention on Angie. Roy, with a couple of precise shots, fires at Angie's lockhead, cracking it, releasing a lot of her power. and as Angie starts coming to and leaving the weave, she falls to the floor and starts to beg for her life, surrounded by a large group of ticked off individuals. Chance immediately opts for mercy, which infuriates Roy because of all the terrible things that her and her husband have been doing, especially keeping him locked in the dungeon for so long. But Chance ignores Roy, kneels by Angie, and starts saying to her that she can become a better person, that they can help her out of this mess that she's gotten herself into. But if it wasn't for a natural 1 wisdom save, Angie teleports away from the wall, not leaving a trace. They try to chase after her by tracking her locket, but they end up at Pete's shop, seeing that she left the cracked pocket watch there. But Balder recognizes that Suka still hasn't gotten up, and realizes that he doesn't even have a heartbeat and starts to panic, and he tries doing whatever he can to try to wake him up. He finally tries something that he never thought of before, by utilizing that chaotic green magic that he experienced only before in the arena. Magically enough, Suka is able to see this magic in the form of a raging bull, and with a lot of sweat from the rest of the party, he is able to be lassoed out of the weave and back to consciousness. The party, knowing they can't do anything else, decides to call it a night and head to their favorite diner, Waffle Hut. But not soon after they arrive, Ryder excuses himself and leaves the restaurant. Knowing that he's definitely up to no good, Roy and Chance lag behind him. Ryder once again walks down a very familiar road to a very familiar gun shop. But since it's after hours, the shop is now closed. But that isn't stopping him this time. He takes a rock from the street and throws it through a window, crashing the window and activating the alarm system. As he attempts to enter, he is met face to face with Gunn, who fires a blast of lightning at him, sending him to the ground and scorching his coat. Ryder had thinned Gunn's patience over this past week, and finally came to a climax when Gunn stands over him, threatening him, saying, if he ever is to come back, he will kill him. Roy and Chance catch up to Ryder, who is now passed out on the street.
Look, Chance, there he is. He got himself hurt. All because he went back to that damned gun store. What did I tell him?
Look, Roy, he's gonna mess up, and he's gonna make mistakes, but you're his brother. He looks up to you for everything. Kid's got a good heart, but he's gonna make foolish decisions sometimes. And if you want him to turn out good, you gotta give him that guidance. You're all he has.
You see, Chance, that's why last time he was at this store, I cleaned up after his mess, just like it was all the time we were growing up. See, he made his bed, now he has to sleep in it. I'm sorry, Chance, but I can't fix all his problems, because sometimes there's just no fixing stupid.
Into the night, Mackenzie reappears to Heiyu, now in complete hysterics, blaming him entirely for the party attacking Angie May, saying that he didn't do anything to protect her mother, putting the entire weight of this consequence on him. She turns into a mockingbird and flies away, after leaving him with the words, "I'll never forgive you for this." Another dawn breaks, and the party is back on Darby's trail. They are led to the suburbs of Rakkus, where they arrive at the Darby mansion, which now appears to be completely vacant. And there are quite a few revelations that they find here. First off, a few of them go into the basement, where Balder immediately recognizes the cage that he was stored in when he got kidnapped for the Chaos Arena. And on the wall they see posted a calendar with today's date marked, which says Crazy 8's at the train tracks, 2 p.m. They now know where Jed most likely is. The other group heads upstairs, where they find a young girl's room. It's a pink room filled with stuffed animals, and in the drawer, they find Mackenzie's diary. Roy reads it, and the party is shocked when they learn that Mac had a very difficult upbringing, with emotional, mental, and physical abuse being commonplace in the Darby household. And the other thing that they find is the revelation that Mackenzie has been seeing a guy named Heiyu. And now this is where things start to fall apart. Roy confronts Heiyu about this information, and Heiyu has to explain to the party that he had no idea that she was a Darby, and that when he was invited over, he was completely taken off guard. And after hearing about the abusive relationship between father and daughter, Heiyu puts his foot down, telling the party that he would never help someone who would hurt Mackenzie. Ryder, unsure what to do and who to trust anymore, finds a horse in the stalls, assuming that it's owned by Jed Darby, decides to take out his rifle and kill it in one shot, which immediately enrages Balder, who verbally scolds him for killing an innocent animal, and they get into a small physical altercation. Without even showing up, Jed has been able to sow seeds of mistrust throughout the entire party, nearly collapsing them. At every twist and turn, Darby has always been 3 steps ahead of them, and now Jed has hit him where it hurts most, the trust between themselves. Every mission that the party has been tasked with, they have all come out on the other end, because they've worked together in a team through thick and thin. But now with the revelations of Heiyu, and the rising tensions and anger between party members, the party has never been less prepared, and yet ironically, their hardest task is still ahead of them. Through all the bickering and arguing, Chance finally puts his foot down, attempting to unite the party under a common enemy, saying to them,
"We've only been given one choice, and that's to kill."
The group make it to the train station right on Darby's schedule. Crowds of people are starting to board the train. Darby recites a monologue, the one heard at the very beginning of this video, basically telling Chance that they're the same, that he's the best murderer he's ever had the pleasure of knowing. He throws a couple of joker cards at the party and starts walking away. A bullet rings out and Ben Janko falls to the floor, Roy holding the smoking gun. With all their bickering and mistrust, the party failed to see the red flag standing right in front of them. Roy was under Darby's control ever since he got captured. He was armed the entire time under his sentence. Darby's full plan in this moment is revealed. He let Chance and the others kill the Darby gang. He was fixing loose ends and was trying to escape on his own terms. And as for the Darby fortune, well, that was Roy's prize, hoping to sway his brother to join him in their newfound riches. Even with such a revelation, the party isn't about to give up here. Chance immediately reacts to this revelation by rebuking Roy's violence with a wave of radiant energy, which immediately knocks out Roy. 2 party members are already down, and Jed has already slipped through the cracks. And the party now has to find a man who can look like anybody in a crowd of terrified and panicked people. Jed was gone, and the crowd now blocking their path fears the group entirely. They start running in all directions while Jed attacks them from the unknown. Chance heals Ben and they start making their way onto the train. Balder crashing through a window, Ryder heads towards the engine. The group starts investigating the find Jed until they're finally led to the roof of the train, where the true battle begins. Chance, Suka, and Balder all attempt to land blows on him, but it's here where Jed's lockhead is revealed. What Jed's lockhead allows him to do is to trap the minds of others to get them to see what he believes. For example, if he wants them to think they've been hit by a whip or shot by a gun, they've been hit by a whip or shot by a gun. Ryder starts pulling the train brakes, causing Ben to fall off, nearly killing him, and Jed starts lassoing people off of the train. With the help of Darby lassoing people off the top of the train and Ryder pulling the brakes, the battle is forced to the ground. There is only one man that can stop this madness. Chance looks at the mayhem around him, cowering civilians, Ben and Suka barely holding on to life. In a decision full of rage, the world got to see Ace Belita for one last bounty.
I consider myself merciful for not already having pulled the trigger. You think we're the same, Jed Darby? I can only think of one crucial difference between you and I. I care what the hell happens in this world. You steal the lives of good people that could have made the world a better place. Bonnie, Al, your wife, your daughter. You could have had a real family, Jed. While you were sitting on your throne of lies, I was out there doing your busy work. I saw everything, Jed. I heard everything. Can you hear him? Every time you blink? Every time you close your eyes to go to sleep? The men, the women, the children, all screaming, coughing, and gasping for air, all having their lives ripped away from them. It wasn't you that was in Deidreville, Jed. It was me. So I'll ask you one more time. Can you hear him, Jed? 'Cause I sure as hell can.
It's been 7 years, I've crisscrossed this land, feeling the weight of this blood on my hands, taking what I want, but all that I need is the answer to the question of my destiny. Maybe I should just take my own life, reunite with my mother and father. The gun always jams or fate dulls the knife. All that I hear is the devil's own laughter. Oh, say why me? How's it fair that I can still breathe? I'll search my reflection with these cold, dead eyes and sit alone quietly, justifiably.
It is here that Book 1 ends. But there are some very important pieces of information that still need to be said before we end this video. The main villain has been defeated, but at what cost? This is by far the most perilous battle of the entire book. Ben Janko was flung off the train at one point and got down to 3 hit points away from death. Luckily though he fell near Ryder, unfortunately on the other hand for Suka, he wasn't as lucky, as the main healer of the party, Chance Bolita, had his sights set on something else. Whether he was blinded by rage, ambition, or something else entirely, the death of Jed Darby was at the top of Bolita's list, but it didn't come without a cost. Towards the end of the battle, the party's blacksmith drew his last breath, never to reach his potential, seeking the magic of the Lockhead. The party starts to disperse. Baldur picks up Suka's body, taking it upon himself to give him a rightful burial. Ryder and Ben both head back to the train station, looking for Roy, but he's nowhere to be found. Though being knocked out, he seemed to have withstanded his battle scars. After seeing this, Ben takes his horse and leaves on his own, leaving just Chance, Heiyu, and Ryder. Ryder approaches Chance, asking him an all too familiar question.
Will you help me find my brother?
March from bar to bar in a cold dark December, trumpet and guitar to help us all remember. You left this one horse town, looking at the sun like a gunslinger shot down in a Western film rerun. Like a gunslinger shot down in a Western film rerun.
There is a huge sense of accomplishment finally being able to record this outro. This video has been the most labor-intensive thing I've ever done, and it's also been the most expensive thing I've ever done on this channel. Infersia, when everything is said and done, will probably be a 2-year-long campaign. It's still going on. Book 3 is happening right now. And I would love to make Books 2 and 3 a reality on this channel. This has been a complete and utter labor of love, but it's not something I can maintain for the time being. If you are still somehow watching this at the very end, you must have truly enjoyed the content that you're watching. And if you're crazy enough and you want to help support me, I have opened up memberships on this channel, something I didn't think I'd ever do, but my justification for it is this. Any and all revenue made from memberships will be reinvested into the channel, specifically making Books 2 and 3 of Infersia. If this is something that becomes a success and there's enough support, I will absolutely get a team to work on these videos so I can make them faster and of much better quality. I am not asking anyone to do this to become a true fan. Obviously I'm going to have things provided to my members like early access to videos, a role in Discord server, amongst other things. I just wanted to mention it at the end of the video for those specifically who watched to the end and genuinely enjoyed what they saw. And once again, if you've watched this video in its entirety, thank you so much. This has been the most important thing I've done on my channel, and perhaps the most important thing I've done creatively. But that's all. And I'll see you soon in Book 2.
I mean, what can I say? Oh, I've stuttered. I hate everything. All right.
Go!
Now,
Go!
Now, penis.
Go! Fire!
Hey, make sure that's in the video, Sam.
Hello, my name is Ryder Grimm, owner of the Grimm Property Ventures. Right over here we have a very famous apartment by the guy known as the devil himself, Chance Bolita. It's a 1-bedroom, 2-bath, 3-story apartment. It's in great condition as the once mighty Chance left it in. I definitely never went in there, so selling this for about 30 gold. Yeah, 30 gold. So contact me. Ryder Grimm.
Okay, I'll get your
Get this man.
Can somebody please get this man a true?
What happened? He wouldn't give him a true. What? Go give him a true.
Every day we stray further away from
What is
God.
wrong with you? Why are you?
Why are you
Why
true?
are you true?
Yeah, I've got true.
What a nice true.
I'm gonna need.
I want every gun
Oh,
to
yeah.
fire at that true immediately.
It's the biggest piece of truth.
It's the biggest piece of true.
It's the biggest piece of true.
It was true. Every ounce, every atom of it.
Every
true.
That's so funny.
It is the
Mappa level,
scene.
Mappa level animation. Like,
Yeah, it's like a feature film.
Impact frames included.
You check like the resolution on the animation, and it is 20,000 by 80,000 pixels.
Sam's gonna add a hidden ARG into the Infersia video.
Don't tempt me.
And the end of it's gonna lead to the secret ending, which is the auto bet.
Yeah, you have to decipher the hyperlink, and it just sends you to an unlisted video on my second channel, which is a full feature film of auto bath scene.
It is me dressed up as Auto Bandage taking a bath.
Yeah.